Hello, romance lovers! Today I have a story for you called Can We Become a Family? Don't forget to support this video with a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new interesting stories. Thank you for watching. A stately man furiously shouted at a young girl. He was sure that she had poisoned his own daughter. The man was furious that he had sheltered her and given her the opportunity to study with the best teachers, and she had paid him back so cruelly. The girl said that she had not harmed Vivian. Listening to his words, the young lady remembered how she had been taken from the orphanage to an aristocratic family. She knew that it was not done with good intentions. The daughter of the head of the family was seriously ill, and the orphan was taken as a replacement for her, since Vivian was to marry the prince. The girl wanted to have a real family, but to her regret, it was just a substitute. Her whole life was fake. No one needed him, and this upset her very much. The enraged man hit the girl and she fell to the floor. He was told that the poison was found in the tea leaves that the girl brought to Vivian. He shouted at her that she would never become a queen because she was a commoner. The young lady denied everything. She said that her engagement had been broken off long ago and that there was no point in her harming her sister. But the adoptive father did not believe her. He was sure that she was jealous of his own daughter since she became the bride of Prince Ares, and that is why she poisoned her. He knew that she did it because she wanted to get rid of competition. In desperation, the girl said that if she wanted to harm Vivian, she would not have done such an obvious trick. The man was outraged by what he heard. In a rage, he put a sword to his adopted daughter's face. In the agony, he screamed furiously and asked how she could do such a thing to the prince's bride. Their family squabble was interrupted by a young man who announced that Prince Ares had arrived. He told his father that he would deal with the girl himself. Their father left, leaving the young people alone. Wood was glad to see the girl in such a deplorable state. She said that she knew everything. It was the young man who set her up. The girl also asked him if he knew that if his sister had drunk the tea, she would have certainly died after she had recovered from a terrible disease. The young man only smirked. He knew she would prove nothing. He had hated her since she had appeared in their house, and he would be glad if she were gone. He also told the young lady that he had not acted alone. The Empress had ordered him to organize everything. The young heir was sure that the girl had seduced the prince and thus displeased the Empress. He threw her a vial of poison. The girl took it and drank it calmly. As she was dying, she told her adopted brother that she was already living her 7th life and just wanted to have a real family. But she didn't intend to play games anymore. The young lady looked at her wrist. There was her last life. She had to live it differently from the others. Nivea had endured all the torments for a long time. Now she had to live for herself. The girl woke up in a room in the bright afternoon. She was always reborn in her 8-year-old body, and she always wondered how long she would live this time. How long she would be tortured this time. Nivi knew for sure that this life would be completely different. The girl saw that the number on her wrist had disappeared. She realized that this was her last life. The girl just wanted to find a family and be loved and did not understand the reason for her reincarnations. The young girl just wanted to be taken away from such a family. The young girl was crying when she heard a noise from behind the door and realized that Wood had locked her in. She remembered how in her 4th life, while rushing to class, she fell from the balcony. But there were times when she survived the fall. After that, Wood always mocked her. Wood always bullied his adopted sister. He didn't like her at first, but eventually he hated her. The girl went to the door. It was forbidden. She found a hole in the door. Wood made it to let bees through it. The girl decided to use the hole. She got the oil with the help of a chair. She poured it through the hole and set the door on fire. The fire was not enough for her, so she took the books and threw them into the fire. Nivea told herself that the last obedient girl had already died, and only she could protect herself. Agnes went out onto the balcony and started screaming frantically and asking for help. She wanted everyone to see the fire and her defenseless in the clutches of death. The servants came running to the screams. They saw a fire and a little defenseless girl who was asking for help. The girl was not in a very good condition. They tried to put out the fire, but unfortunately their strength was not enough. Seeing the fire, Wood shouted for them to put it out quickly, since his playroom was nearby. Nothing else mattered to him. He did not like his half-sister, so her life did not matter to him. The master of the house came to the noise and with the help of his magic managed to put out the fire. The master looked at Nivea and thought that he could not lose such a precious stone as her. He ordered that a doctor be brought to her. The nanny was shocked by what happened. She asked Wood how he felt and if everything was okay with him. God stood and watched what was happening. He thought that Wood could be involved in what was happening. He also did not exclude the option that someone from another family could have started the fire because he adopted the girl. But when he heard that there was a hole in the door and someone had poured oil in it, he realized that it was very petty. The man shouted to the nanny and asked if she knew anything about what was happening. Philippa hesitated, not knowing what to answer. She knew that Wood had made the hole in the door. Wood, getting ahead of her, shouted that it was he who had made the hole. He said that he had not seen anything wrong with it, as he had only been playing. Nivea quietly approached and timidly said that she asked him to open the door. Everyone began to whisper. They realized that Wood was the instigator of the fire. Wood was perplexed by what he was accused of. The gentleman stood and thought about the situation. He knew that everyone wanted to destroy Agnes's family. After all, they were the owners of the largest and highest quality magic stone mine, and everyone would be happy to see them fall. Especially the family of Empress Lucia's mother. Their main income was magic trains that consumed magic stones as fuel. In exchange for a cheap supply of stones, the Duke was going to make a deal that would make his daughter Empress. But many eyes were on Nivea. The Duke knew that if the fact that the girl was of plebeian origin came out, there would be big trouble. But everyone who knew was silenced. The Duke realized that his son had something to do with the fire. He shouted at him furiously, but he only said that he had locked the girl in and had nothing to do with the fire. Wood asked Nivea who had set her on fire. Wood was surprised that the girl was just standing there looking at him, not shaking like usual. In a fit of anger, he hit her. Nivea fell. She knew that no matter what she said now, they would all believe her. Falling to her knees, the girl began to apologize to her brother and say that he did nothing. Wood was pleased. The gentleman looked at everything that was happening and ordered that Nivea bring a doctor, and he punished Wood, saying that he was on probation. The nanny told the master that he had punished his son too harshly. But the man was furious with what was happening and said that if she had watched the children better, then nothing would have happened. He also ordered that Nivea be moved to the 3rd floor. Wood was shocked, but his father said that if he behaved differently, then his punishment would be harsher. Winnie knew who was involved in the fire, but she knew that she had to keep quiet and not tell anyone anything, even though she knew the truth, because the truth would make her feel very bad. Walking into the room, Nivea thought about why she wanted to look like her family. She had red eyes and light hair, features that made her stand out. She hadn't been happy with that before. The girl knew that she had to be strong no matter what. Nivea knew that in all 8 lives there was a similar sequence of events. Within a year of Vivian's recovery, she would die. Magical reflux disease is incurable. However, after 12 years, when Nivian becomes an adult, a cure will be found. The girl knew that for 20 years she would live in a family and look for a way to please them. Nivea knew that she had to leave the family, the sooner the better. Prince Ares was involved in her leaving. He did not care about her status. He just wanted to possess the girl. Nivea knew that if she wanted to leave her family, she had to do 2 things: cure her sister and find a guardian among the aristocrats. The girl already knew which medicine could help her sister. She also had options for guardianship. Duke Lark Esselred was single, 30 years old, and had no heir, but the second Prince Creed would become his adopted son after the death of Empress Estelle. From her knowledge of past lives, the girl knew that there was still time before the prince would appear. The place would be empty for a whole year, and she would be able to do everything she had planned. She desperately wanted to leave her family and get rid of this attitude. Nivea sat and quietly thought about everything. Her thoughts were interrupted by a maid. Charlotte brought her something to eat. The nanny came into the room, almost knocking Charlotte down. She was very angry and wanted the girl to go to the Duke and beg for forgiveness on her knees. The nanny was very angry and wanted the girl to apologize because she had inconvenienced the young master. He was punished for the whole day. She thought that this was too severe a punishment for Wood, Nivea by the hand. The young lady said that she knew what she could tell about how the nanny was embezzling money, passing it off as alimony. The nanny was shocked by what she heard. But the girl knew that every time the Duke found out about something like this, he killed the nanny. The woman was too inattentive to get away with it. In response to the accusations, the nanny only shouted that she was too loyal to her family to do such a thing. In her mind, the nanny wondered how the young girl could know about her machinations. The nanny screamed that Nivian had no evidence of her crime. To which the girl calmly replied that she could go to the Duke and tell him everything, and he would decide whether it was true or not. The nanny was very angry with the girl's behavior. In a fit of anger, she pushed her and she fell to her knees. The doctor saw what was happening. Charlotte quickly ran to Nivea and asked how she felt. Nivea only said that she knew that the nanny was unhappy with her, since she now lived on the 3rd floor. But she was perplexed how the nanny could do this to her. She was simply fulfilling the will of the Duke. The nanny was seriously surprised when she heard this statement. The doctor, seeing their fight, asked Philippa how she could contradict the order. The nanny said that the girl was lying and that she had pushed her by accident. Philippa stood and thought for a long time about what to do in such a situation. Her thoughts were interrupted by Nivea, who said that she would remain silent and would not tell the Duke anything. The nanny left in a hurry. The doctor began examining Nivea. Charlotte said she would take the girl to bed. Nivea remembered that the maid had followed in the footsteps of her nanny. Remembering, she thought that she could use such an ally. After examining the girl, the doctor said that she had no serious injuries. After the examination, Nivea asked the doctor not to tell about what happened to the nanny, as she did not want to be punished. The doctor agreed to remain silent and left. Nivea told Charlotte to stay. They talked about the situation that had happened. The girl knew that she needed a maid. She would carry out all important tasks. Nivea told Charlotte what would happen if she went and told the Duke. The girl was confused. She didn't know what to do. Nivea offered her to work for her, and she would be able to get what Philippa enjoyed. Charlotte said that she didn't like Agnes's family very much. Everyone around her, especially Nivea, knew that she would never be a family member. She was just a temporary replacement after they cured her sister and got rid of the girl. Nivea asked Charlotte if she was willing to cooperate. The girl hesitated a bit, but eventually agreed. Nivea told her that she needed to go to the cook and tell him that she suspected Philippa of stealing. They talked a little more about the plan, and Charlotte left. Nivea decided to rest a little. When the girl fell asleep, she had a terrible dream. A large red eye looked at her from above and devoured her. When suddenly the crescent moon protected her, leaving a mark on her wrist, the girl woke up in fright. Nivea saw a crescent moon sign on her wrist. The young lady was confused as to why it appeared now. She didn't know what kind of sign it was. She had never seen anything like it before. Charlotte came and brought Nivea something to eat. The girl saw that she had not touched the food and asked if everything was okay. Nivea asked the girl if she had done what she had ordered. The girl said that she had done everything. Nivea wanted to know if anyone else besides her saw the mark on her wrist. But no matter what hints she threw, Charlotte saw nothing. Only said that the girl needed new clothes, since she had already outgrown the dress. Nivea ate and decided to go to class. Walking, the girl thought that if she wanted to leave the family, she needed to cure her sister of her illness. In this matter, she would be helped by her teacher, Edward Spencer, a former professor at the Academy in the Holy Empire. Only the children of the elite who really had abilities studied at the Academy. Having a brilliant past, the professor was forced by necessity to be a tutor for Agnes's family. The professor was unhappy with the title, but he had no choice. The main reason he was appointed was because he could use a mind control spell. Using magic, he made Nivea love and be loyal to Agnes's family. The professor knew it was cruel to the child, but he had to do it because he wanted to cure his brother of reflux disease. He was actively using the family's resources. This disease affects children born to mage parents. They do not live to adulthood. At one point, the power leaves the body and the child dies. Nivea entered the office and greeted the professor politely. He was puzzled as to how she had mastered the etiquette in one day. He thought she was just pretending. The teacher decided to put all thoughts aside and began the lesson, started with history, asked several questions. Nivea answered all of them and even told more. The teacher was shocked that she told everything. He did not understand how she knew some information if he did not teach her. Nivea, with the most impassive face, told the teacher that he did not need to teach her anymore. Edward Spencer was furious at her statement. He looked through all her notes. They were simply perfect. He knew that without help, this could not be achieved. Edward Spencer asked the girl if she had any other teachers, but Nivea said with a grin that no, more teachers could reveal her origin. The man did not understand why she was telling him this and tormented himself with doubts that the mind control magic did not work. Nivea told the teacher that she knew how to cure people with magical reflux. He was furious and confused as to how she knew that he needed such information. The girl said that only she knew such information, and no one else. The teacher had tried mind magic on her. For the past year, he had been using magic to instill in her love for her family and the desire to always protect them. But it hadn't worked. The girl said that she had destroyed his magic. He was shocked by what he heard. It simply couldn't be. Nivea looked at the dumbfounded teacher and said that she wanted to make a contract with him, which would be beneficial to everyone. The young lady told the teacher 3 main conditions, and he agreed to make a contract with her. He had no choice. He wanted to help his loved one, and with the help of the girl, he would succeed. After the contract was concluded, Nivea told the teacher what he should do to cure the patient. After hearing the solution to the problem, he said that such a method could work. He was amazed and could not understand why he had not thought of this before. The girl recalled how in her 6th life, it was precisely because recommendations of her teacher, she was sold to the king. She frantically asked him not to do this, but no one heard her pleas. Nivea thought that maybe in this life he would change and become kinder to her. The girl left the teacher. As she walked, she remembered how she had to sacrifice her 7th life to break the spell. Now she could freely control her will. Her thoughts were interrupted by Wood. He wanted to take revenge on her for her tricks. He shouted at her in rage. Nivea asked him what he wanted to kill her. The boy was confused by her words. Nivea came to him, took his hand, and put it to her throat. She said that their father would be happy if he killed her. The boy pulled away from her. In doing so, he pushed Nivea into the water trap. Floundering in the water column, the girl remembered that she had already had such feelings in her previous death. When her carriage overturned, she fell into the water. She realized that that death was not an accident. She was killed. Nivea couldn't let herself be killed again. To her surprise, the crescent moon on her wrist absorbed Wood's magic. She fell. He was amazed, as he hadn't expected this. He had hoped to punish her so that she would know who to fear. The girl turned Wood's stolen magic against him. Nivea knew that since she was not a mage, she could not maintain the magic for long. She knew that he would not remain trapped for long and would not die. Nivea decided to take advantage of the situation and called for help. Duke Agnes stood by the window reading a letter from the Empress. She was very interested in Nivea and wanted to see a portrait of her relatives. The Duke knew that this would happen and had prepared in advance. His thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of the teacher. While talking to the Duke, the teacher asked if yesterday's incident could have caused her emotional shock. The Duke was surprised. Edward Spencer said that her mind control had weakened. In order to fix the situation, she needed to be less nervous. Their conversation was interrupted by the scream of the maid. The men quickly ran to the 1st floor. The maid said that Wood had fallen into a water column but had gotten out in time. The Duke knew that something had happened between Nivea and Wood, as she was also wet. The Duke approached Nivea and asked what had happened. The girl knew that he was using mind control magic on her. Nivea knew that she had to finish the performance so that the Duke would not suspect anything. She said that she had asked Wood to show her magic and that it was all her fault. Nivea ran to her brother and asked in a gentle voice if everything was okay with him. Wood, enraged, pounced on her and threw her to the floor and began to beat her. He screamed that the girl was a monster and he would kill her. The Duke stopped him, taking him away from her. Wood screamed that the girl had stolen his magic and used it against him. He was sure that her father would punish her for all the deeds she had committed against him. The Duke was surprised because the imitators of the wizards are a priceless trophy. The Duke began to study the magic around Nivea, but he only saw Wood's magic. Nivea said that she saw blue when Wood started using magic, and then he got stuck in a water pillar. The Duke said it was just a mana surge. He told Wood to be careful and send Nivea to rest. Wood was furious. He shouted that it didn't happen and she was lying. But unfortunately, no one listened to him or believed him. Nivea was walking up the steps when Charlotte came up to her and gave her a blanket because she was wet. When suddenly Nivea's sister called out to her. The little girl asked what Nivea was doing on the third floor. The maids quietly laughed at Nivea, because Vivi's question sounded like a reproach. Nivea, in turn, apologized to her sister and said that she had not heard the question because of the servants' laughter. The girl asked her again what Nivea was doing on the third floor. Nivi said that she was now living in one of the rooms. Vivi was very happy. She ran up to her sister and hugged her tightly. After the hug, Vivi asked her sister why she was wet. Charlotte wanted to tell her, but Nivea said that she got wet while playing with her brother. Vivi yelled that Nivi was a bad sister because they played without her and said that she wanted to play with her brother too. Nivi told her that her brother was busy now, but she could play with him later. Vivi was very angry and said that she would go to her brother herself and ask him to play with her. She was very upset that she was not taken to play. Vivi ran at full speed to her brother. Nivi and Charlotte were surprised by such a reaction. They could only watch her go. Charlotte said that Vivi had treated her badly and added that Nivea needed to change. Nivea said that she would change herself and go to the library, and that she should bring pumpkin porridge and tea to her father. Nivea went to the library. She wanted to learn more about the crescent moon. The girl knew nothing about her origins or the mysterious symbol. She hoped to learn something from the books that would help her figure it out. Wood screamed furiously, threatening to kill Nivea. The Duke only looked at him with contempt. Then suddenly Vivi came and asked why they didn't call her when they were playing. The Duke said that they weren't playing. But in a fit of anger, Wood shouted at his sister. The girl burst into tears after his words. The Duke was angry with his son for treating his own daughter that way. He punished him and said that if he did not stop, his punishment would be more severe. Wood apologized to his father. As he left, the Duke told the servants that no one should know about what had happened. The Duke was sitting in his office when Charlotte came to him and brought him a snack from Nivea. The Duke tried it and really liked it. He thought that the girl was doing a very good job of being an ideal child. The Duke told his servant to order new outfits and accessories from a brand boutique. Nivea was sitting in the library when Charlotte suddenly came and brought her some warm tea. Charlotte said that she had brought a snack, and the gentleman had ordered her clothes from a brand boutique as a thank you. Charlotte was very happy that the girl would have new things, and from a fashion boutique at that. Nivea remembered how in her past life, Vivi always bragged about the purchases and gifts her father gave her. She wanted to show Nivi that he loved her more. She said that Nivi was just a replacement, a temporary doll. Wood was very angry. He was shouting and throwing dishes. The nanny came running at the noise. She asked what was going on. The boy told her everything. She was very angry. In her thoughts, the woman was making a plan to get rid of the girl. The nanny told the young gentleman that she was ready to do anything for him. Philippa said that she was not going to sit idly by. The nanny was preparing a plan of revenge to take revenge on the girl. The woman believed that the girl was a nuisance to everyone, especially to her. She knew that if she told about her theft, she would simply be killed. Nivea sat in the library all night and still found nothing. The girl was upset because she hoped to at least find out something, but to her regret, everything was in vain. She no longer knew where to look or who to ask. The girl was confused. Charlotte came to her. They had a nice chat. Charlotte said that she would bring her a lot of tasty things to eat. She said that the chef made apple juice and she simply had to try it. The girl was waiting because she had not tried juice yet. She was interested in what it tasted like. Charlotte went to the kitchen. She saw Vivi's maids. They were making fun of her. And they took all the apple juice. Charlotte wanted to take it to Nivi. One of the maids added something to the juice and insistently asked her to take the juice and take it to Nivi. Charlotte didn't like the maid's behavior. They talked down to her. Charlotte didn't want to break her promise to the girl, so she took the juice from the tray that was meant for Vivi. Having taken what she needed, she quickly left so that no one would notice her. The maids were still sitting and drinking juice. They knew that if someone saw them, they would feel bad. They were about to leave when one of the maids dropped her tray of food. The girl was clutching her stomach and shaking violently. The others were grumbling at Charlotte for switching the juice without them noticing and poisoning the maid. They were all determined to deal with her. Charlotte came to Nivea. The maid brought her food and apple juice. The girl tried it, as she had never tried anything like it before. Nivea offered it to Charlotte, who also tried it and was very pleased. Charlotte said that she had brought her medicine for a cold. The girl poured the medicine into the juice after she found out what happened in the kitchen between the maids. Charlotte was surprised, but then she thought that the medicine was bitter, and mixed with juice would be just right. Suddenly, without knocking, the maid and the butler came into their room. The maid was furious and wanted Charlotte to be punished for what she had done. She started yelling at her. Nivy and Charlotte were shocked. They did not understand what was happening. The maid began to accuse Charlotte of taking the juice that was meant for Vivi, and also of mixing the medicine for an upset stomach. And the other maid became ill. The butler did not want the Duke to know about this situation. He sent Charlotte to the laundry. Suddenly, their argument was interrupted by a girl's scream. Nivea fell to the floor, holding her stomach with her hands. She screamed that her stomach hurt. Everyone was confused. The maid was shocked because she knew that there was only one medicine, and another maid drank it. Charlotte rushed to the girl. She did not understand what was happening. But then she remembered that Nivea had poured the medicine into the glass. Charlotte pounced on the maid with screams. She screamed that she and her friends were to blame for her mistress being so bad. The maids began to figure out what the problem was. They were having a loud discussion. In order to make sure that there was medicine in the juice, she decided to drink the juice. She was very surprised when she realized that there was medicine in it. Maki screamed that it couldn't be. Charlotte said that Maki came here with accusations without any solid evidence. Maki hesitated and said that the juice was probably made from stale fruit. Charlotte asked the butler and no one to tell anything about it. The butler said that he would not tell anyone anything. But he ordered Maki to bring a doctor for Nivea, adding that such an act was unforgivable, and if she did something similar again, she would be severely punished. Maki hurried after the doctor. Nivea told Charlotte to pour the juice into the vase. Charlotte said that she wanted to do it herself and quickly poured the juice out, to cover her tracks. The butler met the gifts and told them to take them to the 3rd floor. The maid saw all the gifts and hurried to tell Vivi that she had been brought gifts. Vivi was impatiently waiting for the gifts and asked the maid to watch when they would bring them. The maid looked and realized that the gifts were being carried to Nivea. Vivi ran out to the maid and saw that the gifts were being carried in the other direction. She realized who they were being carried to. She ran into her room. The upset girl quickly ran away. The shop representatives left the gifts and left. Charlotte said there were about 30 gifts. They opened one. There was a dress. Nivea said that these gifts were prepared for Vivi and they were given to her. The girl said to put them all away, because she didn't need them. Charlotte saw the pin and knew it was the one thing the girl would wear. She put it aside for Nivea to pick up later. Charlotte went to get the girl something to eat. Nivea thought that she shouldn't bother with such petty problems. She knew that in a few days she would leave her family. Nivea knew that she would soon meet Ethelred. In all her lives, the girl had never seen him. Only rumors circulated about him. Because no one knew anything about him, everyone was afraid to contact him. Because of his secrets, he did not leave the confines of the house. Prince Creed came into the world as Ethelred's successor. But before he could inherit, he faced many problems. Nivea first saw him at a ball, after an unpleasant incident. At the ball, wine was spilled on her dress. In confusion, the girl ran away, where no one would see her. The girl saw Creed. He kindly offered her a cloak and left her company. The girl never used it for fear of unnecessary rumors. Nivea kept that cloak, recalling his act with warmth and gratitude, because no one had ever done anything like that for her. Vivian lay in her bed while the doctor examined her. He told the Duke that she had suffered a serious emotional breakdown. The Duke was amazed that gifts could make the girl feel so sad and ill. He thought it was petty to be offended by such a thing. Sometimes he wondered if he had raised his children properly. The Duke called the maids and began to scold them for what had happened, but they said that Nivea had deliberately provoked Vivian, and this was not the first time. The Duke could not believe it since the girl was under the control of magic. She could not harm their family. He knew it for sure. Nivea came to her father, holding a small box in her hands. She wanted to tell her father about the gifts, but the maid interrupted her. The maid reproached her and said that she provoked Vivi and brought the poor girl to a grave condition. And then, like a bolt from the blue, the nanny flew into the room. She began to interrogate the girl and reproach her. She blamed her for all the situations that had happened recently. But Nivea said that she had done nothing. She was very scared because of the nanny's words. The nanny grabbed Nivea by the hand and she dropped the gift. The girl timidly picked up the gift and said that she only needed this hairpin. Nivea looked at her father and with tears in her eyes said that she was grateful to him for the gifts, but she could not accept them, and she would never ask for anything again. Looking at the girl, the Duke said that she was Princess Agnes and could wish and receive what she wanted, and she did not need to return the gifts. Nivea was surprised by his words. She was perplexed as to what had influenced his decision. Philippa was furious about what was happening. In her anger, she said many things to the Duke about Nivea, but when the Duke asked her questions about the girls, she hesitated and apologized. But the Duke was furious. He took out his sword and began to communicate with them in a different way. The women were frightened and begged for forgiveness. Kneeling, they frantically shouted words of apology. They knew that for such offenses, the Duke could kill them without hesitation. Vivienne woke up, seeing what was happening. She asked her father with tears in her eyes not to kill the maid and nanny. After all, they were the closest people to her, who raised her from birth. The girl was ready to do anything, if only her father would let them go. The Duke listened to her. He told Nivea that all the gifts were hers and she should not give them away. The girl thanked her father and left the room. The Duke told Vivienne not to be upset about the gifts. He would buy her twice as many gifts. Nivea was walking into the room when she suddenly fell to her knees. She was tired of everything. She was mentally struggling. Nivi didn't know how to cope with everything. She just wanted a family and to be cared for by them. But the girls told themselves not to get carried away. She quietly pinned a pin in her hair, stood up, and went to her chambers. Entering the room, she saw Charlotte lying unconscious on the floor. Nivi wanted to rush to the maid and call for help, but she was caught off guard by her brother, who stood there with a smug smile. Wood stood over her with a satisfied look. The boy was proud of his deed. He had ordered Nivea to be beaten with his anger. The girl was hit and fell to the floor. He was trembling for the hour of her punishment. Wood ordered the maid to be locked in one of the abandoned warehouses and the girl to be brought into the room so that he could talk to her. The young gentlemen were very nervous. They were afraid that someone might see. Wood assured them that everything would be fine and no one would see. Nivea was brought to one of the abandoned warehouses. Wood was about to beat her up quickly so that no one would see her bruises. Then, one of his servants said that a knight had been assigned to the boy and he needed to hurry. Wood decided to deal with the knight first, and then with the girl. He told her to lock her up and left. Philippa paced nervously around the room, not knowing what to do. The woman had decided to set Charlotte up. She took the register and wrote Charlotte's name in it, and in addition, she left the maid money and jewelry. With the evidence, she decided to go straight to the Duke. But he had left, and his duties were temporarily performed by the butler. Philippa told the butler everything, and he ordered the cook and Charlotte to be brought in. The cook was brought in, and the butler began to interrogate him. After searching the cook and Charlotte, they found jewelry. The butler asked where Charlotte was. They were looking for her and couldn't find her, just like Nivea. Philippa said that she could have hidden or run away. The butler was thinking about the situation. Then they shouted and said that they had found Charlotte, but she was unconscious. The man said he found Charlotte locked in one of the pantries. Philippa said nervously that the cook had decided to punish Charlotte, but the butler wanted to get to the bottom of it because he thought the story was very murky. The butler told the Duke everything. He was furious about everything that was happening in his house. He did not want any fuss around his family now because he wanted to talk to the Empress about the girl. He desperately wanted the girl to be found. When she woke up, Nivea didn't understand where she was or what was happening. The girl sat up, calmed down, and remembered what Wood had done to her. She knew she had to get out of this place immediately because she wouldn't be able to handle the boy. She had barely been there for a long time and her strength was running out. Nivea decided not to sit still. She started looking for a way out. The girl found the door, but it was locked. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't open it. The girl didn't know what to do, but she knew one thing. She couldn't give up and stay in such a place. Nivea was in despair when she saw water on the floor. The girl moved the box. She saw the dog hole. The hole was small, but she had no choice. She had to climb. Nivea was able to squeeze through, and she managed to get out. Wood walked to Nivea and thought about how everyone had turned the house upside down looking for the girl. He wanted to finish her off right away. Then he saw Nivea. She had managed to escape from the warehouse. He ordered his servant to catch her because he did not want to lose such a chance to get even with her. The servant caught the girl, but she stabbed him with a pin and broke free. Wood was angry that the servant had let her go. He had not planned for the girl to escape. He used magic and caught her. Wood caught Nivea and pulled her towards him. He was desperate to get even. Wood wanted to use magic to inflict on her the pain and suffering that she had inflicted on him. Wood screamed at her that she was nothing and no one, and even without a bit of magic, he could hurt her. Nivea knew that she could absorb all the boy's power with a touch. She used his power against him, which saved her life. There was a loud explosion. The Duke saw it through the window. He quickly ran towards them. The Duke realized that Wood had kept Nivea locked up and then used his magic on her, and he would have a mana surge. The boy was in serious condition. Nivea was lying next to him, unhurt. The Duke thought about the situation. He knew that this could not be hidden and that the culprit had to be found. He saw the girl's pin in blood and realized that someone else was with them. The Duke was brought Wood's servant, who begged for forgiveness and said that he was only following orders. The Duke said that he was to blame for everything, and Wood went to save his sister. The Duke ordered that the servant be thrown into prison. The Duke wanted to quickly sort out all the troubles personally, so that the rumors would not reach the Empress. These rumors could ruin and tarnish the honor and reputation of his family. He could not allow this, since he had plans for the Emperor's family in the future. The servants were whispering about what had happened to Charlotte. They were excited about what was happening and questioned Charlotte. Unable to bear it, the girl said that it was Philippa who had stolen the money, and if they wanted proof, they should go to the cook and he would provide it. The Duke and the butler were discussing the situation with the theft of money. Suddenly, they heard a noise. They saw servants who came to inform them about the theft of money directly by Philippa. The Duke ordered to search Philippa and interrogate the cook. The Duke asked the doctor how Wood was feeling. The doctor said he would be fine, but he should see a specialist about magic. Wood came to his senses. His father asked him how he was feeling and why he had done that. Wood began to remember what had happened and said it was all because of Nivea. The Duke told his son to calm down and rest. The butler informed the Duke that Sir Spencer wanted to see him, on a matter that could not be delayed. The Duke said that he would see him later, but he was serious, and he wanted to see him immediately. Sir Spencer came to the Duke and told him the most wonderful news. He could cure Vivian. The Duke was really excited by this news. He couldn't believe what he heard. He wanted his daughter to be healthy so badly. Sir Spencer and the Duke went to Vivian. Sir managed to help the girl and healed her. The Duke knew that now his daughter could become an empress. The Duke told Sir Spencer that for his rescue he could receive a great title, and he would be glad to help him get it. Edward Spencer said that he wanted to see Nivea before leaving. He also asked the Duke what he would do with the girl. The Duke was slow to answer, and Sir offered to make her the heir to the Dukedom of Esselred. Sir said that such a move would be beneficial to the family in the future. The Duke thought about the offer. It seemed beneficial to him, too. After Wood and Nivea married, he would acquire good connections and be very rich. Nivea woke up and saw that she was in her room. The girl was afraid that because of Wood, she missed her escape. She called the maid. Nivea thought that Charlotte would come, but to her regret, a new maid came. The maid told the girl what had happened to the nanny and her maid, and also said that Wood did not remember anything. The girl was resting when suddenly she was informed that Sir Spencer had come to see her. Sir Spencer told Nivea that he had cured her sister and was going to go with the Duke to the Empress. As he was leaving, he told her to take care of herself. Nivea was surprised by such words. Thinking about running away, she decided to take a little walk, and she saw her pin. The girl thought she had lost it. While walking around the house, Nivea saw Vivienne. Vivienne ran to Nivea and told her that she was completely cured. She was very happy and excited. And she said that from now on, everything would be different. Vivi said that since she was cured, Nivea no longer had to play the role of a princess. Nivea agreed. She said that she was very worried about the nanny. She could be killed and no one would protect her. Vivi was angry and said that she would definitely free her and no one would stop her. She ran as fast as she could to order the nanny to be freed. Nivea went to the laundry and found Charlotte. She told the girl that she could help her leave her family and open her own business. Charlotte was happy and grateful to Nivea. The girl said that it was too early to rejoice, and she was helping her, since Charlotte had to do work for her. Charlotte said that she would do anything. Wood was informed that Charlotte wanted to come in and talk to him. He knew that the maid was Nivea. Wood did not understand what she wanted. Wood wondered why Nivea had sent her to him, but he still told her to come in. The girl came in and said that Nivea would keep quiet about what had happened, and that since his sister had been cured, Nivea would be given into the care of another family. Nivea would be able to become the young master's equal. And the Duke said that he would marry them. But if the master wanted, this could be avoided. Wood was angry and shocked by what he heard. He couldn't believe that his father could do this to him. He wanted to know how he could avoid marrying Nivea. When suddenly the nanny flew into their room. They were surprised by her appearance. She just walked in unceremoniously. She screamed at Charlotte. In a fit of anger, she attacked her and began to be. Wood ordered the nanny to be taken to the dungeon where she belonged. The woman was shocked by what she heard. Wood said that no one should listen to Vivi, and under no circumstances should the nanny be released. Wood ordered Charlotte to continue telling him what he wanted done. He wanted to carry out their plan and get rid of Nivi, but he also wanted to make some adjustments. He had already mentally planned out everything he would do to her. Nivea wanted to sell all her gifts and asked the butler to do it. She said that she wanted to give the family a gift on the occasion of Vivi's recovery. The butler said that he would do everything. Charlotte returned to Nivea and said that she had done everything. Nivea gave her the money and told her that she needed to go and cancel the contract and pay the fine, and then leave and open her own business, and also told her where the best place for business was. Nivea told Charlotte to never come back and live her quiet life. Nivea was going down the stairs when suddenly she found Vivi and the nanny. The butler told the nanny to go back to the dungeon, but Vivi screamed that she was in charge, and as she said, so it would be. The servant said that Wood was in charge in the house and they would listen to him. The nanny said that Vivi would soon become empress and they should listen to the girl. Nivea said that no one had officially announced her engagement yet, and gossip was not proper, as it was punishable by punishment. The servants all fell silent, afraid to utter a word. The butler asked where Nivea was going. The girl said that she wanted to go and get some presents. He said that he would immediately prepare a carriage for her. Suddenly, a maid came and said that the carriage was already waiting. Nivea sighed with relief and hurried to the exit. Nivea came out and saw who was waiting for her. She got into the carriage that the gentleman had so kindly provided, and they went. Nivea rode in the carriage and remembered her plan and what Charlotte had told Wood. He knew part of the plan. They stopped. Nivi knew that the mercenaries had already arrived. While they were talking, the girl decided to take advantage of the opportunity and run away. She was running when suddenly she was attacked. Nivea was already very close, but she fell. The girl told herself that she could not give up so easily. She tried her best to escape. The mercenaries were furious that Wood had not told them that the girl was a sorceress. Wood shouted that if they let him go and killed her, he would pay them a lot of money. He did not want to lose her because he was close to killing her. The mercenary took Nivea and was about to deal with her when the girl used her power and a violent explosion sounded. They did not know that she had power and did not expect this. The girl planned everything. Before going with them, she touched Wood and took his power. Nivea was flying towards the ground and thinking about death. She did not want to die at all, since she had already achieved a lot in her escape, but she did not have the strength to rise. Unexpectedly for her, a young man picked him up and carried him away. She was grateful to the stranger. Nivea woke up. She was glad to be alive. She realized that she was where she wanted to be. Nivea wanted to talk to Duke Esselred about her future life without wasting time. She hoped for his kindness and understanding. The girl saw presents for her on the table as well as medicine. Nivea was glad and grateful for such a reception. Nivea heard noise. She went out and saw Count Theorvan Alvina. Nivea knew that he was a very nasty and wasteful person who wanted to appropriate the estate for himself and make his daughter the heir. Nivea approached him and greeted him politely. He was angry with the girl and did not want to see her in the house. He did not like that she had such a mastery of etiquette. He shouted at her and, grabbing her by the hand, began to drag her into a dark room to lock it. Duke Esselred came and intervened. The Duke intervened in their fight and defended the girl. His brother was shocked. He never expected this from the Duke. He did not understand why he was defending a commoner. The Count, furious, said that he would deal with her himself and left. Nivea thanked the Duke for intervening. She began to tell the story of her arrival. But the Duke interrupted her and said that she did not need to speak to him like that. She told the whole truth and said that he could use it. The Duke did not expect such a straightforward statement. He asked why he should adopt her, but the girl said that in the future she would bring him good money and connections. But unfortunately, he did not care about money. The girl realized this in time and said that she could take care of the Count. The Duke looked at the girl intently, wondering how she wanted to get rid of the Count. Nivea said it was a secret and she couldn't roll it out. The Duke said she was too impudent. He said he didn't need her services. In addition, he told her to go away. He touched her hair. Nivea decided to take advantage of the opportunity and stock up on magic, but she failed. The Duke understood what the girl wanted to do, but the young lady was ahead of the game. She said that if he didn't like her hair, she could dye it or cut it. The Duke said that she would cause a lot of trouble, so he would spare her life, but she had to leave. Nivea decided not to give in. She made a few more arguments. After thinking, the Duke decided to stop her. He told her to do what she wanted, but he gave her a term of 1 year. After the term expired, she had to leave the house. He disappeared, leaving the girl alone. She was in a big house and was thinking about a difficult situation. Her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of a doctor. The doctor wanted to examine Nivea because she had many wounds on her body. The young lady met Minerva. While Minerva was bandaging her, Nivea asked her if she had healed her. The girl said that it was she. Nivea thanked her sincerely for that. The girl was embarrassed. After all the procedures, she left the girl. The Duke called the servant and told him to bring the Count back to the house. He also said that the girl would live in the house and that she needed to be looked after, since she had a murky past. He did not understand why he had met such a difficult girl now. He had met people like her before, but that was fleeting. Walking through the house, the Duke saw not just a mansion, but a coffin in which he lives and cannot die. He wanted happiness, which was so unattainable for him. Any outbursts of tenderness or happy moments caused attacks. He knew that he did not have much time left. The Empress sat, thinking about Agnes's family. She wanted to see Nivea desperately. She knew that the Duke's adopted child was not so simple. She also knew about their difficult relationship. The children in the family did not like the adopted girl, and everyone knew about it. She had been informed that a Duke had arrived at the Imperial Palace, and she was desperate to talk to him, and to find out more about all his children. She needed information in order to use it for her own purposes. Duke Agnes and Edward Spencer arrived to see the Emperor. They discussed all the issues, when suddenly their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the Empress. The Emperor told his wife that Edward Spencer had found a cure for an incurable disease. He was given a new title for his achievements. They discussed the new title. The Duke also decided to discuss the engagement of his daughter and the prince. He also wanted to send his adopted daughter to the estates of Ethelred. The Empress understood what the Duke wanted to achieve, and she suggested moving and talking about everything over food. The Duke and Edward Spencer were riding in a carriage and discussing the past, when suddenly the carriage was stopped. They did not understand what was happening and why they were disturbed. Ethelred's estate informed the Duke that his son was in the carriage, and he had violated the border and invaded the estate. The Count showed the corpses of the mercenaries, as well as the contract written by Wood. The Duke was shocked. He had never expected this from his son. The Duke realized that his son had crossed the line. He realized that he and his family would be ruined. Such an act had tarnished his family. The Duke began to blame his adopted daughter for the whole situation. He said that the girl had done this before, that she was simply an uncontrollable child. The Duke apologized for the whole situation and said he would pay compensation for the damage caused and he would give up Nivea. The Count said he could take his son, and they would take care of the corpses. The Count walked to the Duke and thought about the girl. He was glad that the girl had brought them money. They really needed it. But he was wary of the girl. He did not understand why they had treated her so harshly. The Count said that he had done everything as the Lord had ordered. The Duke said that he would keep the girl for a year. He also added that he knew very well about Agnes's plans for his adopted daughter and his own son. Nivea was sleeping. The girl smelled a pleasant smell and woke up. A beautiful woman came to visit her. It was Margarita Romanova. The girl started to flutter, but the woman said that there was no need to behave according to etiquette. The girl was surprised and timidly introduced herself. Margarita brought hot soup. Nivea was very happy and did not understand why the women were so kind to her. Margarita promised that she would bring her chocolate cookies and milk. The girl sincerely thanked the woman. Nivea slept for half a day. When she woke up, she decided to take a walk and saw cookies. Nivea decided to try them because she had never eaten anything like them. She really liked the cookies, and she didn't notice how she ate all the cookies. Her hands were all dirty. She wanted to go wash her hands. The girl went to look for a bathroom to tidy herself up. Nivea wandered through the deserted mansion. Various thoughts visited her. When suddenly her thoughts were interrupted by the Count. Nivea said she was looking for a towel to dry her hands. The Count said he would show her to a room where she could clean herself up, as they had no maids. They went to the bathroom. The girl washed her hands, and the Count thought that it must be very difficult for her to do everything with such scratches. Nivea said that she had finished her business and they could go to the room. The Duke took a towel and wiped her face. Nivea confessed to him that she knew he didn't like her and knew that she made him wary. The girl thanked him for his kindness and said that she wasn't laying claim to the place of the heir, she just wanted protection. After talking, they went back. They reached the steps and the Count took her in his arms because he knew that it was very difficult for her to walk when her whole body was covered in bruises, and he decided to help her. Nivea in his arms, they met the doctor. She was perplexed. The Count said that they had some business to settle. Their conversation was interrupted by Margaret. She was carrying a whole tray of sandwiches, and she suggested that they all drink tea. They all went into the room to drink tea. Nivea was very happy. She felt great. It seemed to her that this was her family. She asked if the Duke should come down to them. She was told that he had a slightly different schedule. Nivea asked if she could go up to him to talk. She was told that if she went, she might end up on a shield that would not let her through. Nivea asked if she could write a letter to the Duke. Everyone was very happy because the Duke never received letters. They brought her everything she needed and showed her where she could write a letter. The girl wrote a letter. The adults really liked her neat handwriting. Nivea handed the letter to the Count. The Count said that she could address him simply as Schleman. The girl was surprised whether it was possible to address him so informally. Schleman brought the letter to the Duke. He did not want to open it and told him to burn it. But the Count took it and put it on the table. The man did not want to open it, but curiosity got the better of him. He read it and wrote a reply. He called Schleman and gave him the reply. The Duke felt his rebirth approaching. Ethelred's ancestors had been experimenting with creating human weapons. Their experts were not bearing fruit, and they had resorted to extreme measures. They decided to use force on the child that was in the womb. A man born with the power of the gods was the perfect weapon. The former Duke Ethelred married a woman with silver hair. They conceived a child with the power of other gods. The experiment was a success. Lark was born. Ethelred, the strongest weapon. He later learned that he was being subjected to mind control magic, but after several reincarnations, he was able to free himself from the control. He wanted to save his mother, but she went mad from the magic of other gods. After numerous reincarnations, he realized that his mother could not be saved. Each time his mother committed suicide. In addition, everyone in the village was killed. They burned all the documents. The Duke wanted to do good to this world. At first, everything was great, but then a traitor appeared. His assistant betrayed. After all the events, Lark started to go crazy. He wanted to die, but he couldn't. He was only reborn again and again. Lark knew that he would soon be reborn, because his body could not withstand the magic. And at 31, he dies and is reborn as a boy of 8. Nivea received a letter from the Duke. He called her to work for him. An envoy came to the Duke. He brought a letter from Duke Agnes. Nivea saw that a letter had been brought and said that she wanted to talk to the Duke about it, because she had something to tell him about it. Nivea told all her new friends that she would never hurt them, and she wanted to make a deal with the Duke. The girl knew how things would go. She suggested several options for ending the task, but all of them turned out to be such that she sacrificed herself. After listening to her, the Count said that it would not work. Nivea was in shock. She didn't know what to do, but the Count said that she just needed to ask for help. For Nivea, this was unbearably difficult because of her past lives. The girl gathered her strength and asked them to help her. The woman hugged the girl tightly and lovingly and said that they would help her. Nivea was very surprised when she saw that the gentlemen were cooking in the kitchen themselves. The girl wanted to help them. She was given a task. They were eating in the kitchen. Nivian asked if the Duke would eat with them. Everyone hesitated, and the Count said that the Duke could not eat with them for his own reasons. Nivea said that he was free to choose. Minerva remembered that she wanted to give something to the girl. Nivea saw a stunningly beautiful dress. She was delighted with what she saw. The girl thought that her clothes were from a boutique. She thanked Minerva. The Count said that he had to go shopping and asked the girl what she wanted. But the young lady said that she didn't want anything and thanked him. But he decided to buy her something sweet. Nivea tried on the dresses. She liked it very much. The girl sincerely thanked Minerva. She also got a beautiful hairdo. Nivea asked Margaret to give the Duke a letter. The woman brought the Duke food and left the letter on the table. Nivea wrote that the gentleman could not decide on a job for her. The girl asked him to choose a job for her. The girl received an answer. The Duke appointed her a hairdresser. Nivea was surprised. Minerva was just about to go to him and bring him the medicine, so the young lady decided to take advantage of the opportunity and deliver the letter. The Duke read the letter. In it, Nivea asked him for a job that she could do often. The Duke delivered the answer. He was a bit harsh in the letter, saying that she should thank him for giving her something. Nivea thought about it and remembered her past life. The girl thought about his words and realized that he was right. She decided to write a reply and asked Minerva to deliver it. Minerva quickly ran into the office, left a letter, and ran away. In it, the girl apologized and thanked him for pointing out her mistakes. After reading Margaret's letter, she decided that the Duke needed to be punished a little. Margaret and Minerva picked out clothes that would suit the hairdresser. The Earl came in. He had already bought everything he needed and was free. When he found out what was going on, he said that he would be first in line for the change. Nivea gave him a very beautiful haircut. Everyone really liked the Count's new style. He paid her money for her work, after which they all went to the kitchen together. Nivea tried coffee for the first time. She didn't like it very much because it tasted bitter. To get rid of the bitterness in her mouth, she ate lemon cake. She liked it very much. She asked if the Duke had any food preferences, but she only heard that he had been eating poorly lately. Nivea asked if she could take over the kitchen for a while. The girl wanted to make the Duke some snacks. Nivea baked a pie and asked the Count to take it to the Duke. The Count took it to the Lord, but he did not want to accept it and told him to take it back. The Count said that the girl gave him a beautiful haircut. He left the pie on the table and left. The man was surprised when he tried the pie. He had not eaten such a pie for a long time. The girl had many talents. The Duke decided to go down and take the pie to the kitchen. When he got to the kitchen, he heard laughter and fun. They were all having a nice conversation. He didn't want to disturb them. He listened to them. In a fit of anger, he accidentally threw the plate. The Duke always dreamed of happiness, but because of his peculiarity, he forgot about it. Duke Agnes came to the man to order the murder of a little girl. The man said that there were magicians in the house who had been through the war, and this could complicate the matter. The Duke assured that he would pay in full for the execution of the task. The gentleman wished Nivea sweet dreams, and she went to rest. She thought about their little family. She really enjoyed living with them. The girl fell asleep. Suddenly, a murderer entered her room, but the girl was sleeping peacefully. The Duke was in her room and was able to stop the intruder and deal with him quietly. He sat on the edge of the bed and thought about the girl. Different thoughts visited him, and he drove them all away. The Duke remembered how he had met the young lady before the rebirth. Remembering the past events, the Duke did not notice how the morning came. Nivea woke up and did not understand what the Duke wanted in her room. He only said that the girl should start her duties and not sleep late. They went down together to the office where Nivea was doing haircuts. The Duke said he wanted to change his hairstyle and cut his hair. Nivea hesitated a little because he had been growing his hair for 9 years. The man took the scissors and cut off a long lock. The girl realized that he was not joking and got to work. The Empress went down into the dungeon. She wanted to know how the work on her perfect weapon was progressing. The Empress looked at the boy and thought that she was very lucky to know about the gift of foresight that Empress Estelle had hidden. The woman remembered how 8 years ago she drank poison in order to frame Duke Eltz, as a result of which she lost her child. The woman kidnapped the child and kept him locked up in order to awaken the magic of foresight, in order to use him for her own purposes. The maid thought that she was acting very cruelly, because this was her husband's child. The Duke paid for the haircut with a gold coin. Nivea was very happy, but said that silver would have been enough. He looked at her closely, and he thought that he could raise her as a daughter. The man wanted to know the joy of fatherhood. Suddenly, he felt ill. Nivea asked if he was okay and wanted to come closer, but the Duke told her not to come closer and went to his chambers. He was angry. Margaret came to him, and in a fit of anger, he told her not to give the girl any work. Margaret came to Nivea and told her that the Duke had said not to entrust her with anything. The girl understood that she had to sit quietly and not stick her head out. Alvin came to the estate early in the morning. He brought 2 maids and said that he himself had a daughter and knew how difficult it was without maids. The Count said that they did not need them. Alvin was very persistent. They quarreled. In a fit of anger, Alvin said a lot of things. Nyaya decided to settle the conflict and accept his help. She was already thinking about how to use the maids. Leaving the servants, Alvin left in a hurry. The girl told Schlemmen that she wanted to eat. He in turn realized that the girl was slowing down and sent the maids to the kitchen. The girls were shocked, as they were only told to pretend, not to serve them. After they left, the girl asked the Count to buy her a coat and shoes. She gave him a gold coin. Schlemmen said that he had already bought everything and asked him to hide the money. Duke Agnes was furious that the mercenaries had failed to kill Nivea. He thought that someone had helped her, but he did not understand why or for what purpose. In order to find out all the details, he needed to visit the Imperial Palace. Arriving at the Imperial Palace, everyone was a little puzzled by the situation. The gentlemen began to sort out the situation. The Empress was interested in their investigations and was amazed that the Count was so fiercely defending the girl. The maids gathered food and carried it into the room. On the way, they loudly discussed the house and the meager food. When they arrived at the room, they saw Nivea and Minerva. They were already eating. Nivea said that they had been walking for a long time, so she found something to eat herself. But she told them to leave the food and she would have a snack before dinner. They behaved a little rudely. Nivea did not pay any attention to it. Minerva said that she would show them their quarters. She led them into the room and showed them where they would live. She also added that they must keep their mouths shut in the house and outside it. They said they understood everything. Minerva was about to leave when she suddenly fell. It was someone who stepped on her foot that led to this situation. She fell and her glasses flew off. One of the maids crushed the glasses. Minerva was in despair. Minerva sat on the floor in despair. Suddenly, Nivea came. She took her to Margaret. The girl asked Margaret to examine Minerva, saying that she had fallen. Minerva said that she was an illegitimate child and was already accustomed to humiliation and beatings. She also said that the Duke saved her by taking her home. Margaret hugged the girls tightly. The Count came in and said that all the clothes would be delivered tomorrow. He told Nivea that she was right when she said that Theurvan would send a letter. The Duke said that compensation would soon arrive at the estate. He also gave her a letter from Duke Agnes. Nivea read it, but learned nothing new. The Duke read it and was perplexed. He wondered how people could be like that. The man asked Nivian if she had a plan to protect their home, and he said that he would listen to her in everything so that she could help them. The maid went to tell her master all the news that had happened in the estate. The maids whispered and thought about what they could do for Nivea. They wanted to put a mouse in her bed, but they did it anyway. The maids brought her food, and they wanted to help Nivea take a bath. The girl said she could do it herself, but the maids insisted on their own. Minerva came and saved Nivea. The girl said it was time for an examination. Margaret came. She met the maids and told them that their master had come and he wanted to talk to them. Nivea and her friends saw a mouse in the bed. The girl realized that the maids had planted it. She decided to punish them. The maids met their master, and he told them that guests were coming to the estate soon, and they should greet them with pomp. And if everything went smoothly, they would take possession of the estate. The maids returned to the girl and saw her in bed. They did not know if she had seen their surprise. The girl said that she wanted to sleep a little so they could go. The maids left. As they walked down the hallway, they noticed shadows. Nivea cast the same magic on them that they cast on her. They were so scared that one of the maids ran from the manor as fast as she could. Watching them, the girl realized that someone could have gotten into her room. She took a stationery knife and decided to hide. At night, assassins came to Nivea. The Duke realized that someone was trying to kill the child again. He went down, saw them, and killed them. Nivea attacked the Duke. Later, she apologized and thanked him. The Duke said that the girl was nothing but trouble and asked her to stay out of his sight. Wood was very angry that he failed to kill Nivea. She had ruined his life and ruined his face, so he desperately wanted her dead. New clothes were brought to Nivea. She tried them on and looked great. A maid came in and was asked why she was alone, but she said that her friend was sick and she decided that she should not come to the estate. Alvin came. He was furious because the girl was still alive. Alvin started a row. He was told that he should not behave like that before the guests arrived. In a fit of anger, he said a lot of unpleasant things and left. When everyone gathered in the room, Nivian told them about her idea, about further work. Everyone really liked what she said, but they knew that it would require a lot of money. Nivea said that it would be fashionable to make samples, and if someone liked it, then they could start production. They met the Duke and the teacher. The teacher said he wanted to test the girl's knowledge. Nivea approached Margaret and took her power, but she said the teacher was good and everything would be fine. The teacher told Nivea that he would help her become a mistress and have power over others. After thinking about his words and his behavior, Nivea did not like it. She decided to get rid of him. The girl finished her conversation and went downstairs. There, she saw Wood. He was furious that she was alive. The boy pointed a magic gun at her. He screamed at her furiously. He was stopped. He didn't have time to do anything before the girl used magic. The girl was caught. The maid held her tightly. But Nivea managed to break free and ran away. As Nivea ran, Wood saw her. He decided not to waste the moment and aimed his gun and fired. As always, the Duke intervened. He saved her. All the gentlemen came running to the noise. They realized that Wood had shot. Duke Agnes was shocked by his son's actions. He could only ask how he could compensate for the damage. The Duke said that he must give up guardianship of the girl. Duke Agnes was shocked. He said it wasn't that simple, but they made a magical pact anyway and left in a hurry. Count Alvin started shouting after them that Duke Esselred was to blame for everything. The man was furious and chased Alvin out of the house. Nivea woke up and saw that she was not in her chambers. The girl did not understand what was happening and why she was in another room. She asked to be told what had happened. Her new friends explained everything to her, and they said that the Duke had refused guardianship. Nivea was pleased, but also a little excited about what had happened. Charlotte visited Nivea. The girl wanted to work for them. Charlotte said that she wanted to pay her for her kindness. Nivea was persuaded to accept her. Everyone ate and welcomed Charlotte into their ranks with great joy. Nivea said that she wanted to go to the Duke personally. Margaret asked her if she needed an escort, but the girl said that she could manage on her own. She went to her chambers to get ready and go to the Duke. The girl changed her clothes and put her hair in order. Nivea entered the Duke's chambers and began a conversation with him. She thought to herself that his chambers looked very gloomy. Nivea was talking to the Duke. She wanted to tell him about her business, but he got ahead of her, saying that he already knew everything. He asked her what else she wanted to ask for. Nivea said that she wanted to leave Charlotte, who came to her. Duke Esselred said that she can do what she wants, but he will personally check her business. Nivea was surprised. Nivea left the office. Margaret asked her how everything went. The girl said that everything was fine and that she had succeeded. Nivea said that he wanted to cook dinner and bring it to the Duke. They cooked exquisite dishes. Nivea said that she would take it to the Duke to eat. Margaret said that it would be difficult for her to carry everything, and she offered her help. The girl agreed with her proposal, and they went together to the Duke. The ladies brought the Duke something to eat. He was dissatisfied, but he decided to try what they brought. The man said that everything was too salty and the food was sour, but he ate it all. The ladies left him satisfied. The Duke told the Count that they needed to hire a bodyguard for Nivea as there had been several assassination attempts. Nivea woke up very early and decided to make breakfast. She cooked the food and decided to bring it to the Duke. She was a bit fussed in front of the door. Having decided to leave without going in, Nivea saw the Duke. He told her to come in. The girl wanted to sit on a chair, but it was too high. The Duke helped her by using magic. They sat down to eat at a table. The Duke and Nivea ate and had a casual conversation. They were having fun. The Duke liked this atmosphere. He felt happy. Their cheerful conversation was interrupted by the Duke's illness. He told Nivea to leave. The Duke did not want her to see him like this. Nivea decided to go to the city. She wanted to be useful to the Duke, and for this, she needed information. Walking to the store, she thought about all the problems and their solutions. Nivea thought about it. Unexpectedly for her, she was pushed. The girl saw a young man with the same light hair as hers. The young man apologized and invited her to a coffee shop to make amends. Nivea didn't want to, but she went with him anyway. She was going there for information. He invited her into his office, saying that the place belonged to him. They brought treats. The girl ate everything. She didn't know him. He hadn't appeared in her past lives. The shop owner asked Nivea what she needed in such a place. The girl decided not to beat around the bush and told him everything. She wanted some information, and in return, she offered information that interested the young gentleman very much. The gentleman offered her to make a magical contract with him. They signed it, and Nivea left. When she went outside, she saw that it was raining heavily. Nivea wanted to go back to the store and ask for an umbrella. But before she could do anything, her new acquaintance came out with an umbrella and offered to take her home. The Duke sat and thought about Nivea. He wanted to see her. He asked Margaret where the girl was and was furious. The Duke was afraid that she would leave him. He was furiously afraid that she had left forever because of him. The Duke stood at the gate waiting for her. He wanted to see her desperately. He couldn't leave the mansion. The magic wouldn't let him. Nivea returned. Her new friend gave her a ride. She thanked him politely for his help and left. The girl saw the Duke. He was pale and all wet. The Duke apologized to her for his behavior. Nivea said that everything was fine and he had nothing to apologize for. Unexpectedly for her, he fell and lost consciousness. The girl did not know what to do. She called for help. The young lord called his servant Ricardo. He gave him a task. The lord wanted to know everything about the girl and whether what she said was true. Upon returning to his estate, the lord learned that Duke Agnes was no longer Nivea's guardian. He was surprised by this turn of events. The count visited the carver Ricardo and gave him a task from Nivea. The carver was very surprised that his mistress was Nivea. Nivea was very worried about the Duke. She blamed herself for him being in such a terrible state. Margaret consoled and calmed her. Charlotte brought Nivea breakfast. The girl was worried about the Duke and did not want to eat. Nivea quickly got ready and went to the Duke. She replaced the ladies who had been looking after him all night. She went to the Duke's room. The girl saw him and what condition he was in. Nivea looked after him for a while and left. Alvin arrived with his daughter. They were already in a bad mood from the moment they arrived. Alvin said to call Margaret immediately. Nivea said that the woman was resting, but he shouted that he wanted to see her urgently. In addition, he insulted Nivea and started a quarrel with Count Jenner. Nivea needed medicine for the Duke, and she decided to play a little with Alvin. Do everything as he wanted. Alvin sent Nivea to live in the servants' quarters. Nivea obediently went with him. He said that, for someone like her, these rooms are just right, but his daughter deserves more. After listening to him, Nivea asked if she could go and get her things from the old room. Walking down the hallway, the girl saw Charlotte. She said she brought anesthesia. The girl didn't want anyone to see Charlotte. Nivea made her shadow, and they went to get their things. The young mistress and her maids looked at Nivea with disdain and threw all her things into the hallway and trampled on her. Nivea was furious because those things meant a lot to her. Charlotte said that Nivea should not leave it like that. Charlotte brought Nivea a blanket so she could cover herself and not get sick. They entered the room and saw that all of Nivea's things were cut. Charlotte asked Nivea for forgiveness, but Nivea said that she had nothing to apologize for and that she couldn't do anything. Nivea decided to take a little revenge on the girl and her maids for what they had done. Masha was walking with the maids and discussing the house and what they had done, when suddenly they saw a mess in the wardrobe and a cut dress. Masha was very angry. She knew who did it. She screamed for Nivea to be found and brought to her. The maids said that she was nowhere to be found and that she could be on the 3rd floor. Masha went to look for Nivea. She made a noise because of the search. Nivea was coming down from the 3rd floor. The girl started screaming. Why Nivea could go in there, but she couldn't. Masha started screaming, but Nivea managed to calm her down and she ran away. Nivea went to Masha. She wanted to talk to her. Masha sent her maids away and they were left alone. Nivea did not stand on ceremony with her. She wanted to explain to her clearly that she was crossing all boundaries. Nivea used magic on her. Alvin arrived at the estate. He was furious and said that he would punish Nivea. Nivea was going down the steps. Alvin saw her. Furious, he asked why she could go to the third floor, but she said that the Duke had given her permission. Alvin was furious and he hit her. Nivea didn't want to let him get away with it. She wanted to strike him, but the Duke got ahead of her. He almost killed him in his rage. But Nivian stopped him because killing Alvin could ruin her plans. Alvin began to talk about the legacy and that his daughter was the most suitable to inherit the estate. The Duke said that he would raise the heir himself and that he would adopt Nivea. Alvin was shocked by what he heard. He wanted to sort things out further, so much so that he wanted to see his daughter as the heir. Alvin was called by a servant who said that he had problems on his plantation. He left in a hurry. Nivea was surprised by what the Duke said, but she was very happy. He said that now she would have his last name and a real family. Margaret saw her face and was furious. Charlotte said that they had come all the way to the storeroom, then cut her things and bruised her. Nivea asked Margaret for forgiveness for ruining her cloak. Margaret calmed the girl down. The Duke heard everything that had been done to Nivea and was furious. He decided to crush Alvin into dust. He wondered how such a fragile girl could endure so much.